Whether you visit Jerusalem for its religious importance, or for its archaeological sites, or for its history, or its incredible multicultural mix, for its cuisine, or for its architecture, you won't be disappointed. But it's Jerusalem's antiquity, layer upon layer of civilizations, built and destroyed and built again, that renders the city so challenging and so fascinating to visit. It's a radiant city, built entirely of the golden limestone on which it stands. And it's a holy city to the world's three major religious groups, Muslims, Christians and Jews, whose uneasy truce adds drama to Jerusalem's wealth of history and culture. The Tower of David Museum belongs to that history because in its courtyard lie relics of a fortress built by Herod the Great 2,000 years ago. This unique museum contains no historic artifacts. Instead, models, dioramas and multimedia techniques recount 5,000 years of Jerusalem's history.
For over 2,000 years, anybody who wanted to defend Jerusalem had to defend the hill on which we're currently standing. Anybody who wanted to conquer Jerusalem had to conquer this hill. And you see how Jerusalem started off. It started off as a small town, small village in today's standards. Wouldn't have taken you more than 5 minutes to walk from one end to the other. On a tiny hill, on the edge of the desert in the middle of nowhere. We know there was a Canaanite village here 6,000 years ago. We know that King David conquered this village, made it into his capital city, made it into the most important center of the Jewish world. And there's a hill above the village, a higher hill, and that's known as Mount Moriah. And on that hill, David bought a plot of land, and his son, King Solomon, built the first Jewish temple on that hill. This is what Jerusalem was like when Jesus would have come here, when he preached, when he stood here and preached. And what we see is what King Herod did to Jerusalem. He took a small hill, and in the middle, he built an enormous, beautiful temple, surrounding it a very large plaza, a plaza that was big enough to house 500,000 people. Here on the western side, we have what's known as the Western Wall, the Wailing Wall. The entire wall is still standing, but you can't see most of it because all this area here is underground. And where you see the Jews praying became, over the centuries, a symbol of longing and distress at the loss of the temple, because this temple was destroyed by the Romans in the year 70 AD. Islam developed in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula in the 600s, and the Muslim soldiers conquered Jerusalem in 638. Quite quickly, within about 100 or 150 years, Jerusalem became a center of Islam. It became the third holiest city for Islam. In 691, the Muslims built the Dome of the Rock on top of the rock where the first and the second Jewish temples had stood, on the same rock which according to the Bible was where Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac. And on that rock, they believe Muhammad went up to heaven. It's one of the most beautiful buildings in the world. And from then on, Jerusalem is a center, a spiritual center for Jews, for Christians, and for Muslims. That's what makes the city so much a part of the center of the Western world, and also to a large extent so much a complicated city.
The depth of the rich history and the struggle to reclaim it are truly awe-inspiring. The Cardo, a major street in Roman times lined with shops and a mighty colonnade, has been unearthed and revived. The Via Dolorosa, the street that Jesus walked as he carried his cross to his death, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which many believe marks the site of the crucifixion and burial, the Garden Tomb, another possible burial site, the Mount of Olives where Jesus wept for Jerusalem. These and many more are beacons for Christian pilgrims. But there's more to Jerusalem than history and tradition. There's fun. You'll find vibrant markets packed with fascinating foods, narrow streets lined with interesting shops, Antiques galore. You can even purchase 2,000-year-old Roman glass bottles to bring home as souvenirs. Accommodations suit every budget, though the venerable and elegant King David Hotel sets a high standard. All Israeli hotels include breakfast, and what a breakfast! At the King David you can start your day with caviar or quail's eggs, delicate breads and exotic cheeses, fresh salads or tropical fruits, or, if you insist, porridge. And when the sun goes down, the city comes alive with restaurants of every ethnic persuasion and with lively cafes and clubs. And there's another aspect of Jerusalem, the modern meeting the historic, the future building upon the past. Challenging, complicated, and absolutely fascinating. For more information, visit our website on topoftheworld.net.